mamma mia, here I go again.
Oh no, not again.
Same old shit, different day.
We're not gonna take it.
Like the whole thing with the dome, when they was counting, that was the big thing here, was the counting of the ballots at the dome. It was all counting the ballots, and they told them that it was a leak on the opposite side of the dome. Everybody knew to evacuate. So then when they all left, the Democrats went back in and started counting, and the Republicans went back to the headquarters. They didn't know.
You know that for a fact?
That's what happened. Yeah.
They made it seem like nothing had, like they legitimately had leak issues.
So they had said it was leak issues. So you see them on the video putting everything up, and they left. No, they put someone putting stuff up, and then you see them leave. Then they was out in the parking lot when I guess they told them they could come back in. Or they was out in the parking lot and they was gonna go back to headquarters, and so the Republicans left, the Republican watchers. They all left, and so after they left, the Democrats went back in there and started counting. So that's the videotape. You see them when they're walking back in, pulling the shit out from underneath the tables, and during that hour, and then the other part was that when they were counting, I think during that hour, that stretch of that, it was only like less than 100 votes was counted for Trump. And just statistically, you're downtown, there's going to be more than 100 votes for Trump.
You mentioned your father, and you did have, I know the media would like to focus on the comments of one general, but you had, about a week or so ago, 200 former generals, admirals, all come out in support of you.
Nobody wants to talk about it. Over 300 people from the administration, the most respected people. I see even Bill Barr's name was mentioned. I said, well, that's nice. Because he understood, look, he understood I did a hell of a good job. And so did everyone. They signed a document. Over 300 people. The press will not put it out. I'm so glad you asked. Thank you for asking this question. But I had over 300 of the top people from intelligence, generals, everybody, from the administration saying Trump was a great president. But the press won't put that out. They just don't. Look, we have a very, very corrupt and dishonest press. And I think with time it gets better because they're all doing pretty badly.
Harry, yesterday there was a poll that actually had you ahead. That's been a change from where we've seen things for a while. You reported more cash, I think, recently than what Ruben had as we enter the final stages of this campaign.
My name is Zoraida Buxo, and I am the Republican United States Shadow Senator from a beautiful island where I was born and raised. Indeed, a community very well anchored with steadfast conservative values of family, faith, economic freedom, and deep, deep love of country. Blessed by God, that is home. That is Puerto Rico. So we won't get rattled. We won't yield to ignorance, foolishness, or irrational thoughtlessness. We will remain focused of what is really important. We all share a desire for change for the good. The course that our nation has been wrongfully placed by the Biden-Harris administration must be reversed. Failed policies in the economy and energy production that have driven up your cost of living and that have you struggling every month to pay your bills. Failed policies in matters of border security, law enforcement, immigration that have caused a great deal of chaos, a surge in violent crime across the nation, drug smuggling, and that have you feeling unsafe and unprotected. That is the record of Kamala Harris as border czar and VP for the last almost 4 years in power. I feel your pain. I'm with you. The crisis that our nation is going through is not a result of a natural disaster. It's a direct consequence of the actions and omissions of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. There are close to 6 million Puerto Ricans stateside, in addition to the 3.2 million American citizens that live on the island. And nearly 500,000 have made the Keystone State their home state. We are part of the Hispanic American force of 65 million. We Hispanics are part of the soul of this country. We have made a difference, and we will again make a difference in this coming election to bring about much needed change. With everything that is going on and will happen during the final stretch, it's easy to get distracted or misled by propaganda, emotional manipulation, and distortion of the truth and facts. I urge you, thank you. I urge you to watch out and stay focused on what is truly important when you go to cast your vote. We need change, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are not the option to bring about the kind of change that you need and want, and certainly not the strong leadership that the United States as a nation needs during these times of turmoil. Kamala Harris's harmful record is there to see. She had so many opportunities as VP to improve your lives, even during the first 2 years with full control of the House and the Senate. Without a doubt, she failed to deliver. We don't need to take more empty promises, don't we? We don't need that. We don't need evasive answers to the questions for which we want direct answers. What we need is someone who can and will deliver results for all. Someone who has experience and a proven record of accomplishments, who kept inflation under control, who crafted a prosperous economy, who kept our borders secured, who will again achieve energy independence for the United States, who understands the complexities of the world economy, who can make a deal happen to end the war in Ukraine and bring stability to the Middle East region. And who's that man? That is Donald J. Trump.
And they're talking about these real problems we're having. And with all that's going on to everyday New Yorkers, we're asking questions that is someone a fascist or is someone a Hitler. That's insulting to me. That is insulting. And I'm not going to engage in that. Everyone needs to turn down the rhetoric. Because after Election Day, we still have to be the United States and not the divided states. And so if people can't understand there are real issues facing New Yorkers, and I just find it just humiliating that what everyday mom and pops are doing and going through across this country, that here we are having this conversation about this silly item. So I refuse to participate in that. I'm going to fight for New Yorkers like I've done for years, and whomever can understand that, they're not in the streets. When I'm at these town halls, talking to people there, they're not asking me these silly questions. We are in this bubble, you know, and I know you guys really believe these stories you're writing. It gives you a lot of clicks. It's exciting. It gives you headlines. But this is not what New Yorkers and Americans are dealing with, folks. They are scared of their future. Someone needs to stand up and say, enough of this. Tone down the rhetoric, let people hear the facts, let them vote, and let's decide what the next 4 years are going to be for our city. And that's my position. I cannot make it any clearer.
$250 million in this race right here on seats that were not going to come close to winning, right, because of his favorites, and they got to show that MAGA people can't win Senate seats. You've got breaking news on what he's trying to do. Walk the audience through what's happening here.
Yeah, so my reporting was actually confirmed yesterday. For over a month now, I've been warning everybody that Mitch McConnell was going to have the Senate GOP leadership vote take place on November 13th. And that's the day, of course, that all the senators come back from their month-and-a-half-long vacation. The presidential election is Tuesday, November 5th. So do the math. 8 days after the presidential election, when ballots may still be counted in places like Georgia and Arizona and Pennsylvania, we may not even know who the winner of the election is by November 13th. Mitch McConnell wants to have another secret ballot vote for the Senate GOP leadership race. And John Cornyn and John Thune have both been groomed by Mitch McConnell to be his heir. And I can confirm that just last week, John Cornyn was on Trump Force One, kissing Donald Trump's ass. 2 months ago, Senator Thune had a meeting with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, where he was kissing his ass, trying to beg for support to become the next Senate GOP leader. And yet both of these men have a history of hating MAGA and obstructing President Trump's agenda during his first term. I had Senator Rick Scott from my home state of Florida on my show last night, and I had the honor of interviewing him. He's also running to become the next Senate GOP leader. All of these consultants and anti-Trump operatives, well, they're whispering into Donald Trump's ear that, oh, Rick Scott, he can't get the votes. He can't get the votes, when he absolutely can get the votes, and he should be our next Senate GOP leader. He's the only Trump loyalist who is running right now to become the Senate GOP leader. And I just want to remind people of some of the things that John Thune and Cornyn have done. So John Thune and Cornyn were both disloyal to President Trump in his first term. If you recall, when Nancy Pelosi actually shut the government down because the Senate refused to provide the funding for Trump's border wall, Thune actually blocked President Trump's emergency declaration to build the border wall. He also has said that with regards to the stolen 2020 election and the challenges to the stolen election, that the challenge to Joe Biden was going to go down like a shot dog. So do we really want to have a Senate GOP leader who is against election integrity?
Hey everybody, this is Scott Pressler. We are here outside of the Doylestown Courthouse. As you can see, we are setting up a beautiful Trump table. We have Trump signs. You come out, you vote. You have until 5 p.m. today, and you also have Thursday and Friday. You make your voices heard. If they are going to disenfranchise our voters, then we are going to show up in full peaceful force. See you soon. And I'll also be here tomorrow.
She's in office now, so she has the opportunity to enact these policies and affect change now, and she's not doing it. So if she really cared about us, which I don't think this administration does, she would do it now. I mean, we had Obama say we clung to our guns and religion, Hillary called us deplorables, and now Biden calls us trash. So that's what the left really thinks of us, and I think it's disgusting.
What do you think about that trash comment? You seem just like an average day woman, want to pay your bills, provide for your family. When he decided to call on that call yesterday on the web call you trash, what went through your mind?
I mean, we're just normal Americans that are trying to make a difference in the people around us in business. I'm a businesswoman. And to be called trash is just, it's degrading. I mean, that's really what they think of us is we're like deplorables and trash.
How long will it take you in Arizona to know the results?
It's going to take us as long as it has always taken us. Well, we have more voters, and in many cases in counties, a lot more voters. The time that it takes us to process our ballots is based on doing it right the first time, not doing it quickly for news cycles or for the sake of political satisfaction. We will have official results in about 10 to 13 days. But everybody knows that the networks and the newspapers will make their prognostications whenever they see fit based on their math. And that's just the way it works. We're perfectly confident that we're going to have what we need when we need it, which is when it happens, and it will be accurate.
Secretary Schmidt, how quickly will you know the results in Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is at something of a unique disadvantage in that our counties cannot begin processing mail-in ballot envelopes until 7 a.m. on election morning. Plenty of other states, red and blue alike, allow that process to begin days, if not weeks in advance. But a couple things have changed since 2020. Counties have acquired additional equipment that assist with the processing of those ballots and ballot envelopes. They've a lot more experience than they had in 2020, which is the first time any of us encountered in Pennsylvania mail ballot voting in a large scale. And also the percentage of voters, while it's still widely embraced, the percentage of voters voting by mail has decreased since 2020 during that peak COVID environment. So there are several factors that will, I think, contribute to knowing results earlier, even though the law hasn't changed. But as Secretary Fontes said, it always comes down to, and has always ever come down to, how close an election is before you know who won and who lost.
Now, I know that a lot of you today have seen these videos of people being turned away at the polls in places like Delaware County and Bucks County. And last night, we even saw one of our great local leaders, Val Biancaniello, arrested at the polls for telling people to stay in line. All she was doing was telling folks, stay and vote. They took her away in handcuffs. Folks, here's what's happening. Democrat election officials are seeing our numbers. They're seeing our turnout. They are seeing us breaking early vote records across Pennsylvania. They are terrified and they want to stop our momentum. We are not going to let them suppress our votes. We are going to fight. I'm proud tonight to tell you that the Trump-Vance campaign has just filed a huge lawsuit against Bucks County for turning away our voters. We are going to fight this thing in court, and all we ask of you is to stay in line. Donald Trump needs your votes. Donald Trump needs Pennsylvania, and America needs Pennsylvania. We are going to swamp the vote, and we are not going to let the Democrats stop us.
1.7 million missing original ballot images for the November 2020 election in 2021. when they were supposed to be retained under the federal and state statutes, which I showed. There were 5 million ballots cast. We only received 3.3 million back. This rule is to do memory card retention. The issue is to change the memory card retention rule. And before we talk about, whoops, we lost that. Before we, there we go. Before we get into the memory cards, I think it's important to understand, as y'all know, I'm sure everybody in the room knows that memory cards are created for in-person ICP scanners from ballot marking device selection summaries. I don't call them ballots either. They're not a full ballot, but that's what the in-person voting uses. The scanners have memory cards in them. They're the compact flash cards that are in your cameras and typically other things, same thing that Dominion uses. Those memory cards are loaded to the election management server. On the memory cards are in-person ballot images, cast vote records, and audit logs. That's what's contained on a memory card. And these election records are created automatically when the ballots are scanned to tabulate votes. I think we can pretty much all agree on that. I don't think there's anything out of hand there. Absentee ballots are out of scope for this particular rule. So what's the problem and what's the solution? This is going to be very simple, like Member King's dad likes it. The problem that we see right now is that the State Election Board's memory card retention rule does not retain the ballot images, cast vote records, and audit logs on the card long enough to comply with federal or state election record retention law. I know that claim came up on another case yesterday, and I think I agree with, it was Member Gonzalez that said that she did not agree, and I think she is right. I think that was overstated yesterday, but I'm going to show you the clear plain text of the law today. And so their proposed solution is simply to modify the rule to comply with the clear plain text of federal and state election record retention law.
The chair would entertain a motion on this.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we rule to initiate rulemaking procedures on this matter.
We have a motion from Member King to initiate rulemaking procedures on this matter. Is there a second? Second. We have a second from Member Jeffries. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of initiating rulemaking procedures on this petition signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Could you imagine being part of a community that is so off-grid that you don't even have driver's licenses or cars? Could you imagine? And then, for the first time ever, your entire community is going to vote for the President of the United States. And then, on your way to the polls, you decide to fly flags from your horse-drawn buggies. Trump flags, specifically. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look up Amish TikTok. They're flying flags. Trump flags. From their buggies on the way to the polls. The people in the off-grid communities are tired of our government and their shenanigans and their voting. There's roughly 80,000 Amish that are voting for the first time ever this year. And the kicker, they're in Pennsylvania. You don't win the election unless you win Pennsylvania. So this off-grid community of Amish could potentially save our communities. I'm here for it, and I'm thankful that these Amish are coming out in full force to support what they believe in. And it's not the famous people, the millionaires, the billionaires that could change this election. It is the little folk who sit at home and grow their own crops and make their own clothes and don't have internet and all the things that could save us. And it's a beautiful thing. And if you're not excited about this, I'm sorry, but I am very excited.
Who is the Vice President Harris team?
right? On Trump's side, we have Trump, we have Musk, we have RFK, we have Tulsi Gabbard, we have Vivek Ramaswamy. These are actually very, very capable people that have kind of joined the team. And once he actually wins, I think that a lot more very capable people are going to sign up. And I think if you look at the issues that they're focused on, Musk is focused on everything from regulation to government efficiency to waste and cutting costs. And he's obviously pretty good at that. He let go 80% of X, and it's a much more highly functioning, better product today. Kennedy's going to focus on, corruption, pharma, making America's healthy. These are, I think, critical issues for the country. By the way, part of the reason why our budget's out of balance is we have such an unhealthy populace. Mm-hmm. We spend an absolute fortune, as you know, on healthcare, and we have the worst health outcomes of any, major country in the world. If we can change that alone, we're going to save enormous amounts of money. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the world, and that if we can actually change the growth trajectory of the United States, instead of growing at these very low single-digit growth, 2% or 2.5%, which is, kind of what we've achieved in the last, number of decades. And we can take that to 3.5% or 4%. The implications for the poor, for meeting our obligations, for scientific advancement, for national defense, for a safer world, are very, very powerful. And it sounds like such a small difference. But, with the passage of time, that's one of the powerful forces that you learn about when you're in my industry. I'd love to see it apply in the government. So I'm excited about a Trump-Musk administration. And I credit to Trump. I think the other point I would make here, and I do think this is a really important election, is that strong leaders are not afraid to bring on talented people and work alongside them. J.D. Vance is an extremely intelligent, articulate debater. Compare Tim Walz in terms of, I would say, mental acuity, talent, life achievement versus J.D. Vance. So I think that speaks to what the leadership team will look like in a Trump administration, and I'm excited about it. There are two ways to resolve debt. One way is to cut expenses. Yeah. Another way is to grow revenues. But ultimately, you need to grow the value of the asset that the debt's secured by to make the leverage comfortable. That's one way to think about it. And so the Trump approach is, I'm going to accelerate the growth of the country. And the way I'm going to do that is, one, I'm going to eliminate a lot of regulations that are holding back, that make no sense and are actually holding back economic progress. And if you think about how long it takes to build a bridge in the United States, or build a building, or even build a home, and the nature of the approvals you have to get, and the number of government agencies, you look at the Biden administration, right? The $42 billion for rural internet access, and no one's been connected, and it's been years, right? $7 or $8 billion for a dozen charging stations. So the government is notoriously inefficient, and then you have all of the all the regulatory. So I think one, a massive review of all the regulatory kind of quagmire, and set up the country efficiently. Two, I think having Elon Musk as your partner in this enterprise, I think, is a huge home run, right? So when was the last time we heard about a presidential candidate talking about cutting waste in government? So having a Department of Government efficiency, I think, makes tremendous sense. So eliminate waste. No one likes waste. Accelerate growth. And among that, reduce the cost of energy, which is embedded in the cost of everything. And we grow our way, and we improve our efficiency way out of the problem. And that's how we do it. And the United States kind of unleashed, right? This is still the most entrepreneurial nation in the world. Yes. AI is this incredibly powerful technology that is going to be transformative. And I think that's how we're going to solve the problem. We solve it with growth and efficiency. And imagine how much more gets done, how many more people get employed, how much wages ultimately go up in a world in which it's easier to get things done. Because there are a lot of people who want to build things, want to build houses, want to start companies, want to grow their businesses that are being held back by the way that our very inefficient government oversees the country.
You say no one likes waste, and I think I know what you mean. I would argue that the people who benefit from all of this bureaucracy and corruption and, we started talking about DEI. I mean, DEI in government is a huge industry, and none of those people want to cut waste because that's their salary.
I hear you, but I don't think there's a lot of sympathy for people who are benefiting by waste. Yeah. And, the result will be a much more efficient, effective economy. There's a book, I think it's called Bullshit Jobs. I think we have a lot of bullshit jobs, unfortunately, in government, and I think we need to eliminate them. You look at the education system, it hasn't changed in, 100 years. The typical schoolhouse, one teacher gets up in front of a group of students. We're spending, enormous amounts of money, particularly in, our cities. I heard a number today. We spent two-thirds of the budget for New York State on education. Some number like this, some crazy number.
You must be getting great educational results, Bill.
Of course, the results aren't working. So that, by the way, AI is going to be a very powerful technology in custom tailoring education for each kid's progress. So I just think we have to. We're introducing technology into the corporate landscape in a way that's making businesses more efficient. We haven't looked at introducing technology in government to make government more efficient. I couldn't imagine a better person than Elon Musk to help with that.
But isn't that going to be an almighty battle? Because you're not just dealing, which is, I think Konstantin's question alluded to. Let's be fair, it's not just the people who benefit from it. You're fighting against an ideology.
Which is why you need a Trump-type president to do it. One, he can't get reelected. This is his second term. He's got 4 years to make it happen, and he doesn't care. And I think you need someone who's independent enough to be able to execute on this. If you compare to Vice President Harris, well, this is her first term. She's going to want to get reelected. She's going to be beholden to the system. That's another reason to support Trump.
Of the VATS with specifically from Dominion. Mm-hmm. Why was that only caught in the past few days, and why can't it be fixed? I saw the release.
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's, again, affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
Do you think it's a bigger issue in Michigan because we do allow voters to cross over in ways that a lot of other states don't?
Because we have straight party. It's not struck me as I've talked to my other colleagues in other states. They're just as upset about it as we are. So, yeah, or surprised, I think. Yeah.
Hi, Illinois State Senator Dan McConkey here. We've just passed the largest budget in Illinois state history, over $53 billion. Includes almost $1 billion in tax increases and nearly $1 billion on the migrant crisis. So we actually raised your taxes just to spend on migrants. Now, there's some good things that the budget does, but a lot of things that are just very much out of whack. I voted no, looking forward to seeing how we can continue to work to improve our state.
But I can't imagine, Mr. Schiff, how you could get up every morning and have one mission, and that's to go after Donald Trump. You've been made a proxy by the higher-ups in your party, whether it's going after him concerning impeachment, all these things. And if you think about it for a minute, how can you think about one man every day and focus on that when you've got millions of people in California to take care of? I think it's unconscionable. And like I said before, he lied to 300 million people when he was going through that whole process of trying to get Donald Trump impeached.
I'm outside Kamala's Ellipse rally here in D.C. And literally the whole crowd going back into the Ellipse are just like Free Palestine Jew haters. Take a look. It's her whole crowd. I kid you not, her whole crowd. It's the whole crowd. See, some Democrats want to deny it. It's the whole crowd. Kamala Harris and her Indian voters, I guess, hate Jews. I don't know. It's wild. Just take a look at this. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. Talking about some revolution. They want a revolution. I don't know. Let's just watch this. Literally, I can't stress this enough. This is her whole crowd. They're either Boston people or Free Palestine people. There's no normal people. No normal people. Oh. Antifa revolution. Antifa revolution. Very nice shit. Take a look. Oh, long live the Antifada. These people are nuts. They're nuts. This is what you get if you vote for Kamala. These fine people will be coming to your neighborhood. So make sure you get out and vote for Donald J. Trump.
This was all a setup, and I'm going to prove it to you. Take a look at this.
Literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now.
Hey, Puerto Rico, do you know that minutes after this aired, Kamala Harris responded with a video? And I'm not just talking about a pick up the phone and record a video right away. No. A pre-recorded, pre-scripted, professional video just minutes after this guy joked about Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is home to some of the most talented, innovative, and ambitious people in our nation. And Puerto Ricans deserve a president who sees and invests in that strength.
You guys don't see the coincidence? It looks to me like she knew that was going to happen. It looks to me like she was aware that was going to happen, that she already had something pre-recorded. And then to top it all off, Bad Bunny comes out and endorses Kamala Harris right after the video aired. How is it that Kamala Harris had that video already pre-recorded when this guy came out and started bashing Puerto Rico? It seems to me, and this is my honest opinion, this guy was maybe either paid or it was an insider to try to make Trump look bad, and they're going to come out and supposedly save the day.
And, you know, one other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book.
On Friday, Jamie Visaya says she went down to check her mailbox.
There was about 9 voter registration ballots that were not mine. So I thought that was strange. So I ended up returning them to the post office here.
But to her surprise,
again last night,
there was another stack in there. This time 7 different ballots.
Long name Mohammed. Last name Mustafa.
She only lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. Most of the ballots are addressed to different last names, but all have one thing in common: her unit number.
Management said no one's lived here for 3 months.
Maybe the people who were registered at her apartment before didn't update their address through USPS when they moved. But still, Visaya wonders,
why didn't I get all of their other mail forwarded here, or junk mail, or anything like that?
We got her on a call with King County Elections Chief of Staff Kendall Hodson.
In 30 years of voting, I've never had that many ballots that don't belong to me, you know.
She told King 5 they have daily calls with the USPS, so they're planning on raising this issue to them.
Would you be all right with our folks coming to pick them up from you? That's going to be probably the easiest way for us to sort it out.
Hodson also told us, quote, even if someone gets a second ballot or more, whether under their name or someone else's, we'll only ever count 1 ballot per registered voter with their matching signature.
Are you going to make sure that it gets expedited to the recipients?
We need to get them a replacement ballot. We'll get that out. If we need to, update their registration to a different address, we'll do that as well.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging there. We're almost there. Okay, we're going to get you.
Here they come. Everybody's coming in. We're all going on strike. Raise them booms! Everybody raise them booms! Nobody's working or doing anything. So, sorry, Asheville, we're here for you, but at the same time, we're here for our families. So if we are not getting paid, we are not doing a single thing, we are not lifting a single hand. It has been 8 weeks. We have not gotten a single penny. Some of us are sleeping in our trucks and in our vehicles because they won't even release the per diem, at least, for us to cover our housing. So we are putting our booms up all together, and none of us will be working until some type of money is paid to us. Enough is enough.
Yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you taking down signs? That's illegal. Yes, it is.
That's not personal property.
Why are you taking down Trump signs?
I wonder. We're putting up Harris signs.
Oh, okay. Cheating, just like, yep, sounds about right.
Why is it closed?
Let me explain it to you.
Please.
Okay. This process is very slow and grueling.
That doesn't matter if we're online.
Very slow and grueling.
Doesn't matter if we're online by 4:30. We have the right to
The reason why it
vote.
had to close was because a high volume of people wanted to do this. Slow and grueling.
Well, then they
So
have to wait
had
till everyone's.
They had to cut the line at 1:45.
They cut the line at 1:45.
1:45.
You hear that, everyone? They cut the line at 1:45.
Here's your. here's
This
the form
is
right
voter fraud, by the way. Who?
No, it's
who
not.
Yes, it is. Oh, voter protection. I heard about that on X. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Contact
Voter protection. Let's see what that's from.
the county commissioners to complain.
This is, and so you don't think this is voter fraud? This is voter fraud.
No, they had these people, they had about 12 of them walked in, they were all foreigners, and then they took them up, these younger people helped them to fill out, they say vote PA today, and then they took them up, and somehow they beat a 2-hour line, and then they walked up, and the one lady, they were even asking her, they're like, we don't have you in the system, your name's not right, and they're like, oh, well, we'll take it back and change it.
Yeah.
How do you change your damn name?
Exactly, yeah. Well,
Yeah, Ted and Bria, the jury had been deliberating since 10:30 this morning, and they found Kimberly Zapata guilty on 1 count of felony count of misconduct in office and 3 counts of election fraud. Here are the moments that verdict was read.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kimberly Zapata, guilty of count 1 misconduct in public office as charged in the information. Dated.
Now, there was no emotion from Zapata when that verdict was read, and she never testified during the 3-day trial. The former Milwaukee County elections worker admitted she ordered fake ballots to prove flaws in the election system. She said she never wanted them processed. Closing arguments wrapped up this morning, and the prosecutor said Zapata used her position to commit fraud, while her defense attorney said she just wanted to expose loopholes in the election system.
She was a whistleblower. She was showing with the truth, with an action, an imperfect action, but a truthful action, what was going on.
She brought to light the situation by lying on these applications, by having these fraudulent ballots issued. That's not blowing the whistle on the problem, that's aggravating the problem.
Now, after the verdict was read, we did try to talk to Zapata's attorney, but he did not want to comment. Now her sentencing is scheduled for May 2nd, and depending on what happens there, she could face 5 years in prison.
And then when you put it in,
Just like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait and see if it tells you if it's
Okay.
It lets you know that you voted the way you wanted to. Can you see?
Yes. Yes, I can. So that's all we need, right?
And you have to do page 2 because you voted the back
Next
side.
Secretary Griswold told me today that she had not decided whether to tell you, the public, about that password leak before she got called out on it publicly today. I asked Secretary Griswold whether she takes responsibility for this election security breach in the same way that she has held others accountable, and we discussed a string of errors by her office that can damage voter confidence.
To be very clear, we do not see this as a full security threat to the state. This is not a security threat.
You do frequent media interviews warning of the insider threats to elections. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security defines an insider threat as somebody who uses authorized access wittingly or unwittingly to do harm. Did the actions of your office pose an insider threat to elections?
No.
In 2021, when Mesa County's voting system passwords leaked, your office said, quote, "The public disclosure of the BIOS passwords for one or more components of Mesa County's voting system alone constitutes a serious breach of voting system security protocols." By that standard, did your office commit a serious breach of voting system security protocols?
Well, to push back on you, Kyle, that sentence is in the press release, but there is a much bigger press release. And part of that investigation in Mesa County was 2 sets of passwords, unauthorized access, stolen passwords, and it was in a different time. Since 2021 and what happened in Mesa County, our security has improved, including the 24/7 hour cameras, including the badge and access. The law has been significantly strengthened since then. We have multiple layers in place to ensure situations like Mesa County don't occur, and that is not what is occurring here.
This is not the first time that your office has made mistakes that have damaged voters' confidence in our elections. In 2022, your office sent out mailers to 30,000 non-citizens inviting them to register to vote. They, of course, are not eligible to register to vote. That same year, your office used Colorado's ballot tracking system to send messages to specific Coloradans encouraging them to vote when, in fact, they had already voted, causing confusion that had to be cleaned up by the county clerks. And now this leak of the voting system passwords. Given your office's repeated errors that have damaged confidence in our elections, which you say is paramount, will you resign?
Absolutely not, Kyle. And I just want to, you're unfairly characterizing and leaving out some crucial information. We came out immediately and said a postcard had been sent out to people who are ineligible. The postcard clearly stated that someone had to be a U.S. citizen. No one tried to register from that group of people. We were actively tracking it. And it became a situation where no one registered. And to push back even further, Kyle, Colorado is tied for #1 in confidence in the country in our elections. We have stood up to situations time and time again to protect the right of Coloradans, going over and beyond what anybody would ask of civil servants in this office.